Hey guys, Wizard101 here with another video. In this video, I'm going to reveal the deck setup that I use for my death character, and let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get started with the deck that I use now. I use this deck right now on my death character. I have 2 stun shields for blocking stun. 2 stun shields is usually all that I need. I have 5 tower shields. Forgive me if I sound a bit out of it, because I haven't played in a while on my dead character, to be honest. But 2 stun shields are here to block stuns, and they usually come when I need them. I have 5 tower shields to defend myself against anything, basically. I have 4 volcanic shields, so that I can protect myself against storm characters and fire characters, because you know they have deadly strong attacks that can really knock a hole in you. I have 3 colossals that I use to boost this, and this, I guess. Although it's only 3 since most of my attacks are in my treasure card deck. I have 1 entangle that I use when I need to. I have 1 pixie. I have 4 infallibles. 1 animate, which I rarely use, but it may come in useful one day. I have 5 death blades. I just have 1 deer knight. The reason why I have these attacks in is so that if I run out of treasure cards, I can use colossal. Then I can reshuffle, and I would get the colossal versions and the normal cards again. So, in case I run out of cards, I still have cards I can use. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doom and glooms that I use when I have an enemy that is lower health, and I can pick him off with some lifesteals and so on. I have dream shields that they don't really come in useful a lot, cause you'll rarely see any life characters, to be honest, and myth characters are rare as well at this level. Well, for me at least, I have 2 feints in, and these 2 don't really come in useful, but I have them in there just in case one day comes where they're useful. Of course, I could always change these. Well, I could definitely change the feints, but the shields may be more permanent. The infections, I have 3 of them. Okay, that sounds wrong. I have 3 infection cards. Yeah, that sounds a little better. I have 3 infections that are for the purpose of lowering the amount of heals, well, the amount of health the person can regenerate from a healing. 1, well, yeah, I already described why I have these cards. I have 4 sacrifices just in case I am in low health. And the good thing that you can do with sacrifice is that if you have a lot of things on you and your health is low, then you can just finish yourself with sacrifice, and it will take off all the hanging effects off of you, and it will heal you back. The only thing is that your pips will be gone. I have 4 virulent plagues because they're really good. They come in handy when you're fighting somebody who can do heavy damage. And the same with bad juju. I have 3 bad jujus, which I use when I'm fighting somebody who can defeat me or can do a lot of damage. I have 2 dissipates because storm is very strong. I have 2 reshuffles since kingsisle put the limit on reshuffle. I have 2 reshuffles, and I believe that's all I would need, unless I had a balance mastery, in which case I could probably have even 4 reshuffles and change my deck up to be more balanced, but yeah. And I have 4 spirit blades for boosting damage, steel ward, which not useful, but have it in there anyway. I have the 2 pip bad juju, which isn't bad, because the 2 pips means that 1 power pip and I can use it, so that's good. These 2 cards don't really come in useful either. I really want to change my pet. Actually, just a minute here. If the game will load. I did make a new pet, but I'm not sure about it, because it doesn't really... all it has is defense, but I guess I can still use it. Even though all it has is defense. What else? I have. This is my PvP side deck, my treasure card deck that I use. I have two freezes in here so that I can stun an enemy when it's appropriate. Like for example, if I use a skeletal dragon, then I can use the freeze, and the freeze will ensure that the person gets damage if they, like if I'm first on the skeletal dragon and they don't triage, then I can use freeze so that they can't re-triage the skeletal dragon and they get the damage on that round. Okay, I'll get the skeletal dragon soon. And I have tower shield for generic damage resistance. I have two convictions cause my critical block isn't really that high. I think it's only about 30 something. Well, I'm not in my gear. Let me just put on my gear on this. The energy change isn't really going to bother me that much. And I got so many cool ones from fishing. Like I don't know. I guess I got lucky. I got basically every stuff that I wanted from fishing. And kingsisle still didn't fix this. This is still big. Just saying. So I have that on. Quarter duke. Yeah, Surmalary seal. And with this, I have about 30 critical block. Yeah, 30 exact, 30%. 21 critical. Yeah, and I don't have jewels on this character yet. So yeah, conviction helps because it adds 25, so that's what, 55% block if I have conviction on. Which for my level is, I guess, decent enough to survive. Not to mention you have the stun resistance, which can come in helpful if your stun blocks are not showing up. Yeah, and I have 4 Deer Knights. Deer Knight is a really good way to defeat enemy minions and to add an overtime while doing damage. Deer Knight does solid damage while adding a Deer Knight. It's basically a 5-pip dragon, to be honest. If you think about it, it's basically a 5-pip dragon. And I have Dr. Von's Monster. This isn't a card that I use a lot, it's just there. But it can be useful in certain situations, but it's very optional, I just have it there. But I wouldn't be surprised if I change this card in the future, cause I hardly ever use it. I have a Deadly Minotaur. I think I should actually have 2 of these. But yeah, Deadly Minotaur is a really good card because it gets rid of the shield first, then it does damage. And I'm pretty sure nobody's going to double shield after they have 1 shield on. Well, most persons. So you can get the shield off and do the damage as long as you have the blades. And poison is there to remove shields as well. I have 3 poisons. Yeah. Poison is here to remove shields that... Yeah. Sorry about that, my voice is kinda... But yeah. Poison is there to remove shields and to add damage over time. Poison is actually a strong card on its own. It's like our version of freeze, or whatever it's called. Snow. Frostbite. It's like our version of frostbite. I have sacrifice here as well, which is useful when you're low health. And as I said before, you can knock off everything off of you if you're low health, and if you kill yourself with sacrifice, you can knock off all the hanging effects and gain back health. I have Skeletal Dragon, which I use Pierce for, just to get around defense. Overall, I think the Pierce is a better solution than having Gargantuan on this card. Not to mention it has 115% accuracy, so it's harder to fizzle. I just have a Skeletal Pirate here for damage, generic damage. I have 6 vampires because I use them the most. They are really good cards to get back your health. It's really useful when you're picking at your enemy's health. It's a really good card to have. And you see me use it a lot in my videos if you watch it, so I use Vampire every fight. So it's a really good card to use. I have 2 rates, which are a little bit better than Vampire, but not much better. You're honestly better off using Vampire because you use less pips. So you can use Vampire, like, you can use another Vampire a lot earlier than you can use another Wraith, if you understand what I mean. You use less pips, and it's relatively similar in numbers. So you can get a lot more from the Vampire, but Wraith is there for extra. Lastly, I have 2 weaknesses in this deck, which I think I could probably add a little more, maybe 1 more. Weakness is good. Even though it's just negative 30%, it really changes the card a lot. Like for example, if say I have a blade and a weakness and I do an attack, a lot of the times the attack is less than what it would do without the blade, for example. So weakness is a really good card. What I think weakness does is that it takes away from the base damage. So overall, the damage that you do is far less. So weaknesses isn't a card to brush over. It's a really good card for PvP. Next, I'd like to talk about the deck that I used before. This is the deck that I used when I was level 68, when I had rank 1400. Well, this was my 1v1 deck when I had rank 1400. I think it's worth to mention this deck as well. I actually remade this deck with cards. I remade this deck just to show how it looked. Yeah, let me start again. As you remember, it is stun block to resistance. I have 3 tower shields this time because at the time I didn't need as much defense as I do now. I have 3 volcanic shields for the same reason. Cloak is really good. Cloak is like gargantuan, well, colossal for your shields and blades and whatnot and your charms, cause Cloak is good when you have the ability to reshuffle a lot, cause you can make copies of your cards and have a lot of them. Colossal is here for the same reason, and the same reason why I have only a few cards, even though I have significantly more in this deck than the one before. It's there to add damage to these in case I run out of cards here. I have again 1 Entangle, 2 Pixies this time. I have Ether Shield this time. Ether Shield is, well, Ether Shield isn't really that, it's good to have for the situation, but your chances are you're not going to see many lives or deaths fighting. I have 4 infallibles in this deck for piercing and whatnot. And I have 4 dead blades, I have that, I have 4 doom and glooms, 2 dream shields, 4 faints, 4 infections, 2 Doctor 1 monster, 2 poisons, 2 sacrifices, skeletal dragon, blah blah blah. And you know why I have these in my cards already, for taking down damage and so on. I have 3 reshuffles this time, which I don't know why I have 3. I don't think I need 3 because it's not like I have a balance mastery, but it's good. It's good because you won't run out of cards. You can get your cards back if you have a long fight. I have Spirit Blades here, 3 Spirit Blades. And I have 2 Tower Shields, a Fortify, Infallible, 4 Dear Knights, Dr. Von's Monster, 4 Poisons, 2 Dr. Von's Monsters, 4 Poisons. I have Sacrifice, Skeletal Dragon. You may notice that the cards here are different because I just bought treasure cards, like for example this. I just bought treasure cards to show how the deck would look, because I don't have enough of those cards made to show right now. Yeah, and I have 6 vampires in here as well, and 4 weaknesses. I honestly feel that this deck is a lot better than the one that I have, like the other one. I feel like this one is way better. It gives you a lot more options. You have a lot more, say, damage you can do. You have a lot more things you can work with. You can fool your enemy a lot better. I mean, I think that I might change this deck to look a little more like this now, to be honest. Because this one is really good. May change it also. Just to see if it can be better. But generally, it's the similar design. I think I had triage as well as a deathly minotaur. I think I had triage in the deck as well as this in there as well. And the way how you get deathly minotaur is that you train minotaur and you use the transmute that you can get it from the archivist in District of the Stars. And TC's, well, the item cards you know about already. I think that's it for my decks. I don't have any specific strategy that I use for players. Like, for example, some players may have specific strategies that they use for characters. I don't really have a specific strategy. Like, for example, if I'm fighting a balance, then obviously it's more likely that they're going to use Lore Master. But what I normally use is I just look at the best card that I have, and I think about, like, for example, what situation is the best to use it. Like, for example, if I have, how do I explain it? If I have, like, say, if I have, like, say, this in my hands, and I'm fighting a Myth Wizard, I'll use the stun shields, and I would discard everything except maybe 2 tower shields, and I would wait to get the other cards, and I would choose which card to use from that selection. So I don't really have a fixed strategy, I just usually predict what my enemy is going to do, and then basically follow my enemy's lead, and then see if I can, like, set up a way that I can beat my enemy. But generally, what I do is I try to blade, generally, then I use Skeletal Dragon, and Skeletal Dragon, properly bladed, can do about 700 a round. 700 a round is what? 7 3 is 21, so that is 2100. So 2100, and I can use Vampire, which does about base damage, which is about 500. So I can do, say, 2000. I can stun them, I can Vampire, and 2 Vampires is about 1000, so that's 3000 damage in 3 rounds, basically. And Deer Knight can do about 700. Well, overall it can do maybe 800 if you bleed it right, so you can use that as well. Also, you can use poison, which if your enemy is shielded, you can use that as well to better fight your enemy. And yeah. But what I generally do is just Skeletal Dragon, well, blade up, then Skeletal Dragon, then try and stun them, or use Vampire if my health is low. If my health isn't low, then I would use Deer Knight, which adds another overtime, and that overtime would then prevent the enemy from taking off that one off of them. It would prevent them from taking off Skeletal Dragon off of them. So you can have the Skeletal Dragon on, and you can have Deer Knight doing damage as well. I think that was confusing, what I just said. Yeah. Basically, use Skeletal Dragon, then use Deer Knight, and it protects you from triage if you're first. If you're not first, then good luck. Hopefully they don't triage, as triage is very common nowadays, or well, it's always been common. So triage is one thing to look out for. Yeah, I don't think there's anything much more for me to say about my cards. It's up to you how you want to design your cards, but bear in mind, you would need to do Winter Tusk to get Virulent Plague and as well as Bad Juju. So you'd have to do all of Grizzleheim to get Virulent Plague and Bad Juju. So if you wanted these cards, you know what to do. And you have to craft Deer Knight. The recipe is somewhere here. wait, oh yeah, use this. You'd have to craft Deer Knight. Here's the recipe. It's not that hard to get. The hardest thing, honestly, is probably maybe the Deer Knight TC. Amber isn't that hard to get. There are many ways to get it, like for example, Aquila. You can use to get Amber, or you can use Fishing to get Amber, or you can use King Parsley, which isn't that hard. Because King Parsley make themselves. So if you have, like for example, 2 King Parsley, then you can over time quickly develop a whole garden of King Parsley, because they give themselves during normal harvest. So yeah, it's easy to get Amber. Sunstones is a pain, but you can, and everything else is easy, and you can transmute blood moss and so on. And the Deer Knight TC is probably the hardest to get, because it's not usually in the baser, or you can always fight Lore Master for it, and have a chance of getting another card. So yeah. Wait, no, I don't have it on I don't have it on this character, but the jewels you get from the person in the pet pavilion are good for your pets. That's the jewel recipe that I used to get this jewel, the 14% death ward on this pet. As pets go though, it's better to have a damage pet. A damage pet is really better in many respects for a death character, cause with a damage pet you have more health that you gain from lifesteal, as well as doing more damage overall, since that's don't really focus on healing that much. And yeah, if you're legendary, Hangman's Hood is good, as well as Hangman's Cape. And if you're legendary, Glendemming sturdy shoes or sturdy boots are good as well. Or if you're level 76, then maybe the Forest Hurt boots is good for you as well. Staff of Flashing Blades is good, but if you have the ability, then it's better to gain a deck from the Horde packs. Like for example the Terrorist Horde pack, or the other one with the skeleton, I forgot the name. That's so long I haven't played, I forgot the name of the skeleton thing, the pack that you get those from. And for the dagger, it's better to use the crafted one, or the one from the one that gives you critical that you get from arena tickets. It's raining outside, so you might not be hearing me well. If you have mastery, it's good. Myth mastery and balance mastery are good on death characters, although you'd have to train some balance and myth spells if you have those. You can use this as well. This is a really good amulet to have if you're a death character, although there are probably other alternatives that you can use for your situation. And this is good. For level 60, you may want to get the Winter Tusk damage ring, and then when you have enough arena tickets, you can buy the ring from the arena person, and that ring is good, the arena ring. And I think that's about it. Yeah, and the deck that you choose, of course, is the deck that gives you the most cards that you can use, so you have the most variety of cards you can use. And yeah, I think that's about it for this video. I think I have described everything that you need. Alright. Yeah, I think that's everything about this now. So there you have it. You have the way that I use my deck and how I PvP with it. Yeah. If you want to make a deck from scratch though, I would suggest, what I normally do if I'm making a deck from scratch is I use, for example, I look on the card and see, like I look at the card and I think to myself how useful it is. Like for example, Tower Shield is useful, so I add some Tower Shields into my deck, and then I look at the other cards and I add them, and then while I'm adding them, if I have too much cards or too much of something, I will like assess how much I need and remove or add as needed. And that way over time, well, when I go through all my cards, I will have the deck that I use for PvP. If you understand that, I guess, what I just said. Yeah, basically go through all your cards and assess how important they are to you. And if they're important, add them. If you have too much of them or too many cards overall, look through your deck and see which ones are like overrepresented and which ones you don't need, and then add and remove as needed. Alright guys, I think that's it for this video. I see you again, hopefully soon, and enjoy your day.